Do you know that this laptop is literally, at the moment I'm speaking, 10 years old? It still works fine. I just, I replaced the HDD with a SSD, upgraded it to Windows 10. It was on Vista before. The camera I'm filming with is 12 years old. Well, yeah, why should you replace it if it still works, really? I struggle to understand why do people throw things in the bin when, their phone is 6 months old, their laptop is 6 months old, and they just replace it with a new one. I think it is actually a very good introduction to talk about why does everyone looks richer than you. When I arrived to the UK, I thought that everyone was a multimillionaire. Like, you go on the streets, everyone has the newest car. Everyone wears designer clothes, except maybe the hipsters in Hackney, but yeah, they're still around. And my wife told me that no, these people who wear designer clothes, they're actually working class, they live in council estates. But let me tell you what, most of the things you see is credit, bank loans, mortgages, lease. Most of these flashy things you see, well, it belongs to the banks. Hello and welcome. My name is William, researcher in sociology at the University of Warwick in the UK, and this is a video series about my latest book, Muslims in the Neoliberal Empire, how the society colonizes us and what can we do about it. And all of this is on purpose. It is part of how the neoliberal economy works. It is part of this theology of liberation that emerged in the 70s and the 80s. Money brings happiness. Material possessions bring happiness. If you're poor, it's because you don't work hard enough. It's shameful to be poor. You have to pretend to be richer than what you actually are. In the previous video, we touched upon extrinsic values, goals and values where appearances, the illusion of success matters more than what you actually are doing. This modern world works for the fakers. We touched upon the class ceiling theory that, getting jobs in the modern society is less about your skills, your knowledge, your experience, your talent, but more about your charisma. Who do you know? What your cultural fit. The word works for the charismatic, the loud, the arrogant. Even if you have no skills or experience, you can get away with it if you're confident enough. It's basically lying, but the society values lying. It values greed, values selfishness, values arrogance. So, quick reminder, extrinsic values, which stem from goal content theory, is when people are more concerned with, as I mentioned, fame, power, image, material possessions, financial success, prestige in a word, because prestige comes from the Latin praestigium, which means illusion, as opposed to intrinsic goals and value where people are focused on self-improvement, community, solidarity, empathy. And extrinsic values come from a feeling of insecurity, an inferiority complex, if you like, and from social models that encourage these kind of values. So it's basically people who are obsessed with validation, external validation, people pleasers. They don't care about being better people. They care about being accepted by others. Because this society values and rewards people who abide by these values. So, of course, if you are in a situation where you don't have the material possessions to prove that you are successful in the eyes of others, when people are given the means by, taking up multiple credit cards or taking multiple loans, mortgages, this is something we call lifestyle inflation. You live beyond your means. So, little story, I grew up in France. My parents are Polish. And in France, I never heard about the word credit card until I moved to the UK at the age of 26. French society, at least until now, has been very debt adverse, which means that people would take on a mortgage to buy a house, but very, very rarely they would take a loan or buy a new car on finance, especially because new cars lose 50% of their value within the first or second year of their life. My mom always told me, never spend what you don't have. And my dad made a huge mistake in his life where when he lost his job, he wanted to maintain the lifestyle we had, and so he took on multiple loans with variable interest rates. But then guess what happened? The interest rates hiked up. He couldn't repay the debt, and it took my mom 25 years working on her own as a cashier at a supermarket to repay all of these debts. It's only when I came to the UK that I've heard things such as people taking on loans for buying furniture or buying designer clothes on credit, like buying holidays on credit. And to me, that was insane. You go in people's houses and nothing that you see is theirs. It all belongs to the banks. And why? Just for providing this illusion of success. But then you would ask me, why do people believe that these things are markers of success? If you've mingled enough with people who are in investment banking or finance, you probably know the saying that financial advisors with flashy cars are like dentists with bad teeth. Because again, if you are smart about investing, you never invest into a depreciating asset. To understand, this is a perfectly normal human behavior. Normal in the sense of standard. This is how the human brain kind of works. We are visual creatures. 80% of the information we gather is through our eyes. So we attach more importance to things we see. And from these things, we can derive symbols. And especially when a name, like a brand, is repeated very often and associated with certain other like values or like success, beauty and stuff, the brain unconsciously makes the association. It is a phenomenon which is called thin trust. Thin trust is opposed to thick trust. Thick trust is is the kind of trust that develops between people you meet face to face, whether it is like family members, friends. You are able to see for yourself what's the person like. Or thick trust is if you buy a pair of shoes and after 10 years you realize that, yeah, it's a very good pair of shoes, I can trust this brand. Thin trust is when you trust people or things you haven't met personally, you haven't approached, never had the items in your hands, but still you trust them. It can be because of the things they say that are propagated in the media or in social media, or it can be, because of marketing. When a brand, whether it is through billboards, social media, or in the popular culture, is associated with certain elements, people just believe it because it's been repeated. It sounds very stupid, but this is how the brain works. Repeat something enough and some people might believe it. This is how German saloons are associated with reliability. Well, it's not the case, and it's been around 30 years that it's not the case. The last very solid Mercedes, for example, they were produced in the late 80s, early 90s. After that, it went downhill. But still, people believe Mercedes equals reliability. And this is the same kind of trust that is developed by politicians, social media celebrities. You rent exotic cars, you rent luxurious Airbnbs to pretend that you have this fancy lifestyle, that you are earning lots of money and that you are a successful individual. So people believe that the online course that you are selling is actually working. People would never question whether, what they are living in is an Airbnb or, like they borrowed from a friend. Because again, another component is we don't have the time. This society doesn't give us the time to just stop and reflect and analyze whether whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we read is true or not. Now on social media, you probably know that you can buy engagement figures, you can buy followers, you can buy likes, views, you can buy even custom comments. And you just need to buy enough of them, create enough of an illusion for people to start believing it. And we'll dive deeper into that in further videos, but this is actually how some influencers have been able to create an empire literally out of hot air, out of nothing, out of faking it. You probably know the rhetoric of politicians making empty promises. It's a myth old as humanity, but these empty promises work. People believe them. Fortunately, not everyone falls into these traps. We don't often look long term. Because yes, these things are true in the short term. I have been doing fieldwork for the past 15 years. So I've seen How do some people who use these techniques end up on the long term? 15 years is a very short time in the scale of human life, but still, I have seen marriages failing. I have seen some of these women who went for these flashy, arrogant guys, divorcing a few years down the line, divorcing when they were still repaying their wedding expenses in Dubai. I've seen charities and businesses collapse because they were hiring the people according to their appearance instead of their skills and their knowledge. In the Silicon Valley, you've heard scandals like Theranos, Nikola, or some crypto exchanges, because the thing is, if you are playing a performance, if you are pretending to be someone you are not, you're pretending having a life you have not, at some point, the question is, for how long can you sustain, can you play the game? Especially, in marriages, because marriages are a huge event in life, and I believe that in our modern society, people are not prepped for marriage. They are not ready. They enter marriage without having the right intellectual and emotional tools to sustain a relationship, and healthy relationship. Because we are not taught skills for marriage anywhere. It's not, our parents never taught us. We don't learn this at school, at uni, at work. The advice available on the internet is not always great. So where do we find the information? So when the masks fall, things get really, really ugly. Some people who are much more senior, or some people who are, I would say, a bit more experienced, down the line, they develop a radar to detect these fake charismatic people. So of course there's always exceptions. You have some of these fake people making it to incredible levels. But again, for one successful fake entrepreneur who managed to make his way up to the top, there are maybe thousands of people who tried similar things but failed because they were found out. Even if it's short, in my 15 years of experience observing people in society organizations, the really successful people are usually those who are quiet. People don't show off their money. They do very sensible investment. They live a boring life. But these lifestyles require really tough discipline, especially if you are suffering from what we call financial trauma. You grew up witnessing your parents living in poverty, you're struggling with money. It's when you receive your very first salary, you are very tempted to spend everything on things that make you feel good without knowing that these are very poor financial decisions. But one good thing that I've learned is by being honest, being true to yourself, by being modest, yes, it makes life harder in the first place, but leading this modest lifestyle is a natural filter that will filter out all the harmful people you may have encountered. Because people who will create strong bonds, strong relationships with you are people who are on the same page, who don't like fakery. And these relationships are the most solid and long-lasting. The next video will be starting chapter 3, and in this chapter we'll be looking at all these Muslims who have strong anti-black, anti-women, anti-social justice views. We'll talk about Muslim white supremacists, a chapter about the ugliest side of human existence, before we get on to things which are a bit more hopeful and positive. If you want to hear more about this book journey, I encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter. This is where I'll be advertising live events in France, in the UK, in the US, but also online events. I'll share bits of my book, and we'll be able to have a live conversation where you can ask questions. It's going to be a bit more interactive than on YouTube. In the meantime, I hope it was useful. Thank you very much for watching, and again, take care of yourselves and each other.